Why is it that two people can live in the same city, work the same number of hours, earn nearly the same income, and yet one family builds wealth that lasts for generations, while the other can never seem to get ahead no matter how hard they try? I am going to reveal something today that most people will never hear in their entire lives. It is not their education. It is not their connections. It is not their investment strategy. It is not the economy, and it is not luck. What separates those who accumulate wealth from those who unknowingly repel it is something far older, far simpler, and far more powerful than any of those things. And today, I am going to show you exactly what it is. But before I tell you what it is, you need to understand something about how wealth actually works, because without this foundation, the practice I'm about to teach you will not work for you. By the time this video ends, you will have everything you need to activate this today. What I am about to share with you was never meant to leave the walls of the ancient study halls of Vilna and Jerusalem. This practice was passed down in whispers, from father to son, from rabbi to student, for over 2,000 years. It was never written in books that the public could find. It was spoken, carefully, selectively, only to those who were considered ready. The secret I am about to reveal involves something you already have in your home right now. Something so ordinary that you have never once considered its connection to your financial reality. Your wallet. Not what is inside it, not how much money is in it, but where you place it, when you place it there, and what energy that location is either drawing toward you or silently, invisibly repelling from your life every single day. Most people who discover this feel two things immediately. First, profound regret for not knowing sooner. Then overwhelming excitement about what becomes possible from this moment forward. Let me tell you who I am, and why you should listen to what I am about to share. My grandfather, Rabbi Eliezer Katz, was born in Krakow, Poland, in 1901. He was the son of a merchant and the grandson of a Torah scholar. By the time he was 30 years old, he had memorized not only the entire Torah, but several tractates of the Talmud from beginning to end. He was known in his community not simply as a learned man, but as a man who understood the living relationship between sacred law and daily life. He survived the war. He lost everything: his home, his community, his livelihood. He arrived in Israel in 1947 with nothing but the clothes on his body and a small, worn leather wallet that he kept tucked inside his coat, close to his heart. In that wallet was not money. It was a folded piece of paper on which he had written 3 Hebrew words in ink so faded you could barely read them. By the time I was born, he had rebuilt everything: a home, a business, a family that never once went without. I was 12 years old the first time I watched him perform a ritual I did not understand. It was a Friday evening, just before Shabbat. The house smelled of fresh bread and candle wax. My grandfather sat at the kitchen table, the same table where he ate every meal, and he picked up his wallet. He placed it in a very specific location in the room. He faced it in a specific direction. He said something quietly in Hebrew. And then he lit the Shabbat candles and did not touch that wallet again until after Havdalah on Saturday night. I remember asking him, "Zaid, what are you doing with your wallet?" He looked at me with those dark, patient eyes and he said, "I am telling the money where to come home to." I did not understand what I had witnessed, but I never forgot it. I have spent 43 years studying the ancient texts of the Talmud and the Kabbalah. I have sat with masters in Jerusalem and Saft. I have read manuscripts that have never been translated into English, documents held in private collections and yeshiva libraries that most scholars will never access in their lifetimes. It was only after decades of study that I finally understood what my grandfather had been doing at that kitchen table every Friday evening. And when I understood it, truly understood it, I could not believe how simple it was and how powerful. If this teaching is already resonating with you, if something in you is leaning forward right now, I want you to write "ready" in the comments right now. Let me know you are here. Let me know you are open, because what comes next requires your full attention. I want to be honest with you now, because what I am about to share is not easy for me to say. There was a period in my life, and I was 38 years old, when everything I had built began to collapse. A business partnership I had trusted for 11 years dissolved suddenly and badly. Legal fees consumed my savings. Within 7 months, I had $214 in my bank account, a mortgage I could not service, and 2 children who needed school fees paid by the end of that month. I remember sitting at my kitchen table, not so different from the table where my grandfather had sat, staring at a stack of bills I could not pay. The tightness in my chest had become so familiar that I had stopped noticing it. It was the silence I remember most. The particular silence of a house where the adults are pretending everything is fine. That night I remembered what my grandfather had taught me all those years ago. I almost dismissed it. Part of me said it was too simple, that real problems needed real solutions, that a man with legal debts and a failing business did not need a ritual. He needed a lawyer and a miracle, but I had tried everything else. So I did it, exactly as he had shown me. Within 24 hours, I received a phone call from a former client I had not spoken to in 6 years. He had a project. He needed someone immediately. He named a figure, $3,400, for 3 weeks of consulting work. Within 9 days, a debt of $7,800 that I had been owed for over 2 years was repaid to me without my asking. The person who owed it simply called and said he was ready to settle. Within 30 days, 3 new business inquiries had arrived through channels I had not even pursued. By the end of that month, I had not simply covered my obligations, I had a surplus for the first time in nearly a year. That was when I knew, with absolute certainty, that my grandfather had not been teaching me folklore. He had not been sharing superstition. He had been teaching me spiritual law. Laws as real and as reliable as the law of gravity. And from that moment, I committed my life to sharing these laws with everyone who needed them. Now, I want to explain to you why this works. Not in terms of faith alone, but in terms of documented spiritual law that has been practiced and verified across 3,000 years of Jewish history. The Talmud teaches in Tractate Yoma that the home is a sacred vessel. Every room, every surface, every object within it carries energetic weight. The sages understood that physical space is never neutral. A home is not simply a structure of walls and floors. It is a living spiritual environment that either attracts blessing or accumulates what the Talmud calls klipot, shells of negative energy that block the flow of divine abundance. The wallet, in Jewish law and practice, is not simply a container for money. It is a symbol of your relationship with Parnassa, divine sustenance. It is the physical representation of your covenant with abundance. Where you place it, how you treat it, what surrounds it, all of these things communicate something to the spiritual system that governs financial flow in your life. What the sages were describing 3,000 years ago, behavioral economists and environmental psychologists are only beginning to understand today. The environments we inhabit shape what we believe is possible. And what we believe is possible determines what we allow ourselves to receive. But the Kabbalah goes even deeper. In the Zohar, the foundational text of Jewish mysticism, it is written that every physical act in the lower world creates a corresponding resonance in the upper world. This principle is called Ratzo Vishav, the constant movement of divine light descending and human intention ascending. When your physical actions are aligned with spiritual law, you become what the Zohar calls a kli, a prepared vessel, and a prepared vessel receives. The wallet is a kli, your home is a kli, your treatment of money is a kli. When you place your wallet in a location that is associated with waste, with decay, with carelessness, you are communicating to the upper world that you are not a prepared vessel. That money which flows toward you has no dignified place to rest, and so it flows elsewhere, not as punishment, not as judgment, simply as law. Water does not fill a broken cup. Light does not dwell in a closed room. This is not coincidence. This is not luck. This is the result of 3,000 years of applied spiritual law, passed from generation to generation, practiced quietly, protected carefully. Jewish families who maintained wealth through the Inquisition, through the Pale of Settlement, through the Holocaust, they did not do it through financial sophistication alone. They carried these laws with them. They practiced them in secret. They rebuilt on spiritual foundations that no persecution could confiscate. In its simplest form, what this ancient wisdom is telling you is this: your relationship with the physical object of money determines the spiritual channel through which more money can arrive. Think of it like a seed. You would never plant a seed and then leave it in a dark corner of your kitchen on top of yesterday's garbage and expect it to grow. You place it in prepared soil, in light, with intention. Wealth works exactly the same way, and most people, without knowing it, are planting their seeds in the wrong soil every single day. I want to tell you about two people, two very different people, who made the same discovery and experienced the same result. The first is a woman named Miriam. She was a school teacher in Cleveland, Ohio, 41 years old. She had been teaching for 16 years and had never earned more than $52,000 in a single year. She was not poor, but she was stuck. Every time she began to build any savings, something would arrive to take it away. A car repair, a medical bill, a plumbing emergency. It felt, as she described it to me, like the universe was running a pipe directly from her bank account to an invisible drain. Miriam heard about the wallet placement teaching from a friend and came to me deeply skeptical. She told me, "I am a logical woman, Rabbi. I do not believe in magic." I told her, "Neither do I. I believe in law." She made one specific change. She moved her wallet from the place where she had been leaving it, and which I will describe in detail in a moment, to the correct location in her home, following the exact placement and orientation described in the ancient texts. Within 11 days, she received a notification that she had been selected for a district-level teaching award she had not applied for. The award came with a $200 grant for classroom materials, money she was permitted to apply to her own professional development. Within 40 days, she had been offered an additional tutoring contract worth $4,800 for the semester. She told me, "I did not believe it would work. I was too logical for this, but I was also too tired not to try." And within 2 weeks, things started arriving that I had not chased, had not applied for, had not worked harder for. They arrived. The second person is a man named Daniel. He owned a small printing business in Toronto, 22 employees. He had been operating for 14 years and was facing what he described as a slow suffocation. Revenues flat for 3 consecutive years, a major client threatening to leave, a line of credit that was nearly exhausted. Daniel was not a religious man, but he was a desperate one. He implemented the full wallet placement practice, location, orientation, timing, and the verbal declaration, "I will teach you," on a Thursday evening. The following Tuesday, the client who had been threatening to leave signed a 2-year renewal. Daniel told me later that the client's exact words in the email were, "Something shifted for me this week. I want to stay." I want you to think about this for a moment, because that phrase, "something shifted," is not accidental. In Kabbalistic teaching, when you realign your vessel, the people and circumstances around you sense it at a level they cannot articulate. They respond to a change in your energetic reality before you have said a single word to them. Do you see the common thread in both of these stories? It was not education, it was not connections, it was not luck. In both cases, the shift happened when they changed the physical relationship between themselves and the object that represents their financial covenant. Now, I want to ask you something, and I want you to think about this carefully before we continue. Where is your wallet right now? If you had to describe it, where it sits when you are at home, what surrounds it, how it is positioned, would you say it is being treated as a sacred vessel, or is it being treated as an afterthought? If you are not sure, what I'm about to share with you next may be the most important thing you hear this entire year now. The moment you have been waiting for, I am going to walk you through this practice step by step. Do not skip ahead. Each step builds upon the previous one, and the sequence is not arbitrary. It follows the exact order described in the teachings passed through the great Kabbalistic masters of Safed, the city where the Zohar was first revealed. Step 1, the audit of current placement. Before you can correct something, you must see it clearly. Tonight, identify exactly where your wallet currently lives when you are at home. Most people discover one of 4 places: on the kitchen counter near food waste, on the floor near their bed, on top of the toilet tank, or near the bathroom sink, or in a dark drawer that is never opened intentionally. The Talmud is explicit about this. Any surface associated with waste, with low energy, or with unconsciousness communicates to the spiritual system that money is not honored in your home. The bathroom is the single most damaging location. It is the room associated entirely with the removal of what the body no longer needs. Placing your wallet there, even briefly, is the equivalent of telling the universe that money belongs with what you discard. Step 2, the cleansing of the wallet. Take your wallet and place it on a clean, flat surface. A wooden table is ideal. Remove everything from inside it: receipts, old cards, expired coupons, photographs of people who are no longer in your life in a positive way. The Kabbalah teaches that a cluttered vessel cannot receive new flow. You are making room. Do not throw away what you remove carelessly. Fold old receipts neatly and place them in a bin with intention. You are not discarding, you are releasing. Step 3, the spoken declaration. This is the step most people skip, and skipping it is the reason most people experience only partial results. Hold your empty wallet in your right hand. Speak aloud, not in your mind, but with your voice, because in Kabbalistic law, the spoken word carries vibrational authority that thought alone does not carry. Say these words: "This vessel is clean. This vessel is prepared. What I place here is honored. What I receive here is blessed." If you wish to speak the Hebrew, the words are parnasa, bracha, shefa. Say them once clearly after your English declaration. The combination of intention and sacred language creates what the Zohar calls a double seal. Before we continue to the second half of this practice, I want you to do something. Write the word vessel in the comments below right now. This is not simply an engagement request. In Kabbalistic teaching, declaring your intention publicly creates a binding commitment between you and the universe. The act of writing it, even in a comment, activates the first layer of this practice. Go ahead. I will wait. Good. Now let us continue. Step 4, the restoration of contents. Return to your wallet only what belongs to the future you are building, your primary payment card, a small amount of folded cash, a minimum of $18, which in Jewish numerology corresponds to the Hebrew word chai, meaning life and vitality, a photograph or written name of someone whose financial success you respect and wish to emulate. Nothing more. The number 18 is not decorative. It is architectural. The Talmud teaches in Tractate Shabbat that the number of life must be present within the vessel of sustenance for the blessing to take root. Step 5, the placement. Your wallet now lives in one of two locations only. The first choice is the eastern-facing surface of your bedroom, the direction associated in Kabbalistic cosmology with new beginnings, with sunrise, with the arrival of divine light. If this is not practical, the second option is a dedicated elevated surface in your living room, never below waist height, always in a location that receives natural light at least once per day. Your wallet should never touch the floor, ever. The floor is the domain of the earth, grounded, rooted, but also the place where things are lost, stepped on, forgotten. Your relationship with money must be elevated, literally. Step 6, the Friday evening ritual. Every Friday evening before sunset, perform a brief version of steps 2 and 3. Remove your wallet from its place, hold it, speak the declaration, return it. This weekly practice creates what Kabbalistic teachers call a rhythmic covenant, a recurring signal to the spiritual system that you are consistent, that you are committed, that your vessel is maintained and not neglected. Consistency is the frequency through which abundance travels. Think of it like a radio signal. The ritual tunes you to the frequency of Shefa, divine flow. The Friday practice keeps you tuned in. Missing it is not a tragedy, but missing it repeatedly is spiritual static. Step 7. The morning acknowledgement. Each morning, before you leave your home, pick up your wallet for 3 seconds. Do not open it. Simply hold it with your right hand, breathe, and silently or aloud say, I am a prepared vessel. What is mine will find me today. 7 seconds of intention, every morning. This practice, sustained over 30 days, creates what the Zohar describes as a reshimu, an imprint in the spiritual fabric of your daily reality, a pathway worn smooth through repetition, along which abundance learns to travel directly to you. Step 8. The monthly renewal. On the first day of each Hebrew month, or simply the first of each calendar month if you are not tracking the Jewish calendar, perform the full cleansing ritual from step 2 through step 5 again. This is the reset, the deep maintenance, the renewal of the covenant. Here's what you should expect from this practice. Within the first 24 hours, you will notice something subtle, a thought about money that feels different, lighter, less anxious, a small, unexpected circumstance, a conversation that opens a door you did not expect. Watch for it. Most people miss it because they are waiting for something dramatic. The first signs are always quiet. Within 3 to 7 days, a meaningful development will arrive. This is the point where doubt begins to dissolve, where the practice stops feeling like a ritual and starts feeling like a law. Within 30 days, those who remain consistent will experience a shift significant enough to look back on this video as a turning point. And at the 90-day mark, this practice becomes not something you do, it becomes something you are. A person whose relationship with money is dignified, intentional, and spiritually activated at the level of daily life. Before I continue, I need to give you 4 warnings. These are not optional caveats. These are the conditions under which this practice operates. Violating them does not simply reduce the effectiveness. In several cases, it reverses it. Warning number 1, the intention condition. Do not perform this practice from a place of greed or desperation. The Talmud is explicit about this. When the placement ritual is performed with grasping energy, with the intention of hoarding, of taking without giving, of accumulating for its own sake, it does not simply fail to work. It signals to the spiritual system that you are not a prepared vessel. Your intention must be one of readiness and receptivity. Not hunger, not fear, readiness. Warning number 2, you must give when you receive. This is non-negotiable. It is not generosity, it is spiritual law. The Kabbalistic principle of hashpas, outward flow, states that the channel through which abundance moves must remain open in both directions. When money arrives as a result of this practice, give a minimum of 10% immediately, before you pay a bill, before you buy anything for yourself. 10% first. If you receive and do not give, the channel narrows, and it becomes harder to reopen with each violation. Warning number 3. Do not broadcast this. Do not post about this practice on social media before 30 days have passed. Do not announce it to friends who will be skeptical. Jewish mystical law teaches that revealed light diminishes before it roots. The more you speak about a spiritual practice to those who will doubt it, the more you bleed its energy into resistance before it can establish itself in your life. Keep this between you and the practice for a minimum of 30 days. Warning number 4, inconsistency undoes everything. This practice does not reward enthusiasm, it rewards commitment. Jewish families who maintain generational wealth do not perform these practices when they feel inspired. They perform them as law, as rhythm, as identity. A seed planted once and never watered does not grow. Neither does a spiritual practice performed once out of curiosity and abandoned when results are not instant. That is the difference between those who try this and those who transform through it. What you have learned today is not a standalone practice. It is one key within a much larger architecture of ancient financial wisdom. Jewish families who build generational wealth do not do one thing well. They build an entire ecosystem of practices in their homes, in their language, in their habits, in their relationships with money that collectively create an environment where abundance has no choice but to accumulate. The wallet practice you learned today is the front door of that architecture, but the house itself is far larger. The Talmud describes 7 domains of daily life that affect financial flow: speech, sleep, eating, giving, work, prayer, and the home environment. Most people in financial difficulty are misaligned in at least 4 of these 7 domains without knowing it. What you have begun today is the recalibration of one, and that first recalibration always creates momentum toward the others. Here is what I want you to do for the next 7 days. Not simply the wallet ritual I taught you today, but these 3 supporting practices as well. First, when you speak about money, speak about it with respect. Stop saying, "I cannot afford this." Replace it with, "I am choosing where my money flows right now." Language is not decoration. In Kabbalistic teaching, words are vessels of spiritual power. Poverty language creates poverty pathways in the nervous system and in the spiritual system simultaneously. Second, every morning before you check your phone, hold your wallet as instructed in step 7 and spend 60 seconds thinking of one specific financial blessing you have already received in your life, no matter how small. Gratitude is not a platitude, it is a spiritual amplifier. It tells the system that your vessel has successfully received before and is ready to receive again. Third, place a small note inside your wallet, folded once, with the word shefa written on it, flow. This physical token, placed intentionally, creates a permanent declaration within the vessel itself. Some of the wealthiest families in Jewish history carried nothing more than this single word tucked inside their coat pockets during periods of exile and rebuilding. These 3 practices, combined with the main ritual, create what Kabbalistic teachers call a tikkun mammon, a complete correction of your financial vessel. Where the ritual opens the channel, these practices keep it open. Come back in 7 days and tell me in the comments what shifted. I read every single comment, and what you share helps me know which teachings to bring you next. In my next video, I am going to share something that goes even deeper than what you learned today. It is the ancient practice of Havdalah money, a specific ritual performed at the end of Shabbat that the wealthiest Jewish families have used for 23 generations to set the financial tone for the entire week that follows. Most people who discover it describe it as the single most powerful weekly reset they have ever made in their relationship with money. Make sure you are subscribed with notifications turned on, because that teaching will not be something you want to miss. Before I let you go, I want to leave you with something that has been given to every student who has sat with me and received this teaching. It is an ancient blessing, rooted in the same tradition that gave us everything you learned today. May your home become a vessel of light and abundance. May every surface you choose with intention become a place where blessing chooses to rest. May the wallet you carry from this day forward be a living symbol of your covenant with divine sustenance, honored, prepared, and worthy of all that is seeking to flow toward you. May the practice you begin tonight open a door in your life that no circumstance, no debt, and no fear can close again. May you look back on this day as the moment everything shifted, not because of luck, not because of chance, but because you understood the law, aligned yourself with it, and chose to become a prepared vessel. It is done. It is sealed. So it is written. If this teaching moved something in you, if you felt a shift while watching this, I want to hear about it. Write sealed in the comments below. Let me know you received this. There is power in that declaration. And if you are ready to go deeper into the ancient wealth wisdom that most rabbis will never teach publicly, subscribe now and turn on your notifications. Every teaching I share is designed to bring you one step closer to the financial freedom your soul already knows is possible. I will see you in the next teaching.